Welcome to the resolutions presentation. I am Charlotte McWilliams, and I will be walking you through this presentation that was developed by the Constitution, Bylaw, and Structure Committee. I would like to take a minute to recognize our committee. Area 1, the Great White North, Umberto Wilner. Area 2, Cora Meyer. Area 3, Barb Stambuski. Area 4, Brent Curry and Bev Gibbs. Area 5, Jesse McNeil. Area 6, Stephanie Swain. Area 7, JP Lapointe. And Area 8, Amy Warner-Brown. And I get to chair this awesome committee. I would be remiss if I did not also recognize the Membership Education Committee and the MGEU staff that worked with us to make this presentation possible. So thank you. During the 2018 convention, it became apparent that work was needed in helping our delegates to understand the process of resolutions. This presentation will guide you from start to finish on the resolution process, assist you in writing clear resolution submissions so that your delegates can debate the issues brought to convention. Our committee wanted to attend your meetings so that we could have an interactive learning experience, but due to the circumstances surrounding the COVID-19, for all our safety and comfort, we've adapted the rollout of this presentation. So let us begin. One of the main agenda items at convention is to debate and vote on resolutions. These resolutions come from you, the membership. Once a resolution is submitted, it is divided into two categories, constitutional or general. Constitutional resolutions tell us how our union is run. These resolutions can change, improve, or correct the Constitution and bylaws of our union. The example here, the MGEU will change convention and all related elected positions and matters to a 3-year term is considered a constitutional resolution. These resolutions require a 2/3 majority vote. Now, general resolutions guide our union on where to focus our energies and resources, reflecting what is important to our members and directs our union's action. The example provided here, the MGEU will advocate for rent subsidy to be reinstated, is a general resolution, and they require a 50% plus 1 vote. Just a side note, when we talk about voting percentages, this is the voting membership that is present in the room at the time the vote is taken, not based on the number of delegates that come to convention. So why are we here today? On your meeting notice, you should have noted convention resolutions listed on the agenda. Resolutions can be submitted at your local, component, and area council meetings. A resolution needs to be approved by your fellow members at the meeting before it can go further. So today, you guys will look at doing resolutions, and everybody present must vote for that resolution to go forward. As per our Constitution, resolution meetings are held from April to June, the same time we elect delegates for convention. Obviously, this year is going to be different. Now that you are at your meeting, two things typically happen. Some members come with resolutions already filled out, and others are developed as you're sitting around the table with everybody participating. Members are given an opportunity to speak for or against the resolution presented. Sometimes through your discussion, amendments will be made and ideas are thrown about. Once everybody has had a chance to speak and the language is sorted, it is voted on. And it requires a 50 plus 1 to pass. Just a side note, when you're at a component or area council meeting, the local table officers are the ones who can vote. So if you're in an area council and you don't hold a position of president, vice president, or chief steward, you can still present a resolution, you just will not be able to vote on it. There are circumstances where you will not be able to attend a meeting, but that does not mean you cannot present a resolution. Resolution forms are available from your area MGEU office, and you can download the form from the MGEU website. It is really important that you provide a clear reason for why you want this resolution to pass, especially if you are unable to attend a meeting to explain. Further, it is helpful to have this information so that when convention delegates review the resolutions before or during convention, your resolution is understood. If you are unable to present your resolution at your local due to not having quorum, you can make arrangements to have it brought to an area or component meeting or even another local to deal with. Please ask your staff rep, your local executive, or area director to bring the resolution to another meeting. It is important to have your contact information on the resolution, but we'll get into that a little bit more. So if you haven't already pulled out your reading glasses, now is the time. Just give me a second while I find mine. Okay, so on the screen we have the resolution form. This form is what we submit our resolutions that will go forward. So this form has been broken up into sections just so that we can go through it a little bit more clear. This slide shows a submission that was vague, and it didn't clearly illustrate what people or what the person was trying to explain or what they wanted. So as you can see, the MGU will include the nominator to speak. This is not really clear. It doesn't reference anything, and we're kind of left guessing what exactly that they want. In the because section, members can make an informed decision is the rationale provided here. It doesn't really tell us what it is that they're asking for, and it's subject to interpretation. So on the next slide is what we consider more ideal submission. And this was actually a submission that was passed in the 2018 convention. So it's the same idea, just filled out a little bit differently. So in the meeting, here we have, this is Prairie Mountain HCSS, Area 3, and it was done at their local. So you'll notice the MGU will change bylaw 24.4 of the bylaws to, and they actually put the language in here, which you don't have to do, but this was helpful. This is the bottom half of that same resolution, and you will note in the because section, they listed 3 different reasons to try explain what it is that they were trying to achieve. Not all submissions need to have this many points, as long as you can just get across what it is that you want people to consider. Once all the resolutions have been submitted from the various meetings, the resolution committee will sort and group the resolutions. At the beginning of the presentation, I had mentioned that there were 2 types of resolutions, constitutional and general. The resolution committee will even break these down further into standing committees. These resolutions will then go to the applicable standing committee. So constitution will go to the constitution bylaws, finance to the finance. Resolutions that are similar or have the same goal are also put together and have one of the resolutions represent all of the similar ones. This is called a composite resolution. So if you have been to convention, you may have noticed that all the resolutions are in the book, but they have a note saying this is covered by, and they'll give you a bunch of reference numbers. And the resolution that's picked to represent the other resolutions will have a note saying that it covers all of these ones. When you are submitting a resolution, it is important to take the following things into consideration. Impact on members. If you work in a workplace with different locals, this can have an impact on them, so they should be part of the process if you're doing a resolution, or they may need to be consulted. Financial implications. Who and how much financial impact it may potentially have. Jurisdiction. Is this targeting the correct party? Is it provincial? Is it federal? Union matter. Is it a union issue or a social issue? Negative impact. Sometimes delegates identify something about a resolution that may have a negative impact on another organization or local that we did not consider or aware of. And bargaining is going to be discussed further in the next slide. Sometimes bargaining proposals come in as a resolution. Some examples of these would be the remoteness allowance or northern allowance, job classifications, pensions, severance packages, and benefit plans. If we go back to the pensions, there is a difference between bargaining and lobbying. So if you're asking to protect a pension or increase CPP, these are not bargaining but actual lobbying, and they will remain as a general resolution because they affect all members and Manitobans. Once the submission deadline passes, typically 2 weeks after the meeting cutoff, There are situations when a local or a component may have a need to submit a resolution. This is called an emergency resolution. Emergency resolutions must still go through the process of acceptance. In order for an emergency resolution to come to the floor, the Board of Directors at their last meeting will go through the emergency resolutions and vote whether they qualify as an emergency resolution. If it passes, it comes to the convention floor. The key to an emergency resolution is that it has to be an idea or an issue that did not exist prior to the deadline. For example, at last convention, ER2, so Emergency Resolution 2, Golico Area 5 submitted an emergency resolution that the MGU will lobby the government to address the increase of thefts and violence. Now, thefts and violence were occurring previously, but what happened in this case was the news did a report on how security and staff were not to physically intervene. And well, we know the results of that one. There was a significant increase in thefts and violence. This made this an emergency resolution. Typically, all the resolutions that are coming to convention are available on the MGU website to be reviewed. The recommendation may not be included at this time, but you will be able to see what resolutions are there, and it will help you decide which and if you wish to speak on any of those resolutions. When the delegate comes to convention, they will receive a package that includes all the resolutions with their recommendations. When a resolution is read out, it is followed by the recommendation of the committee that reviewed it. Usually there's a brief explanation on why they chose the recommendation. When you vote on the resolution, you are not voting on the resolution itself. You are voting on the recommendation. This is very important to remember. This also affects which mic that you are going to speak at. So, for example, if the committee recommendation is to reject the resolution and you think the resolution should go through, you will vote to reject the rejection. So you will be at a con mic if you wish to speak. Delegates can make an amendment to the resolution on the floor as long as it does not change the intent. A vote on the amendment will take place before voting on the amended resolution. Sometimes it gets confusing and there can be an amendment on an amendment and so on. However, delegates should be aware that when making an amendment, debate may only be focused on the amendment and not the main resolution. Until the amendment is carried or rejected, the main resolution debate is on hold. A resolution can be referred back to a committee during debate, as there may be a need for information or tweaking, if you will. Here's a sample of a resolution that was referred back to the Resolution Committee in 2018. The committee's recommendation was to refer this resolution to the Board of Directors. Convention rejected the referral, so the committee met and they amended the resolution from gender neutral to inclusive. This does not change the intent. The amended resolution returned to the convention floor and was passed. At the 2018 convention, resolutions referred to the Board of Directors created a lot of frustration. There are two circumstances where this happens. Sometimes a resolution requires more than a review at a committee level. Keep in mind, typically standing committees meet in September to review resolutions. Sometimes this does not allow a committee the opportunity to complete an in-depth review of a resolution. An example for this would be the CR26, the 3R Convention Resolution. This was referred back to the board with instructions. A committee was created to do research and report back to this convention. This will allow people a chance to review the resolution and make a decision. Resolutions that have a financial impact need to be reviewed carefully, not because we don't want to spend the money, but if you have 10 resolutions with 10 different campaigns, this significantly impacts the budget. The other circumstance where resolutions are referred to the board, if we run out of time at convention, is they get referred to the board en masse. These resolutions do not disappear and they are not forgotten. The board will then review each of these resolutions and still complete a report back. So we've come to the end of convention. The delegates that were elected to attend convention should be reporting back at their local the outcome of the resolutions. In particular, any resolutions that were submitted by their local. Other resolutions that have significant impact should also be shared in the report back. Resolutions that have been dealt with at convention, the outcomes are sent to the applicable president or component director that submitted a resolution. The same applies to the resolutions dealt with by the board of directors. All resolutions that were dealt with at convention or by the board of directors is included in the package in the following convention year. So this concludes the presentation on resolutions. Thanks for listening. We hope this has been helpful in guiding you in understanding how the process works and assist you in writing resolutions. If you have any questions and your component director or committee member is present, they will be able to answer your questions. Area council meetings should have the constitutional committee member there to answer questions as well. If not, your staff rep will be able to assist you. I wish to once again say thank you to everyone that assisted in the creation of this presentation. Thank you, and we'll see you at convention.